Thank you for tuning in to the World Pro Handball Contenders semifinals. Dave Fink and Tyler Hamel are playing here at the Detroit Athletic Club. Once again, we're very lucky to have, in retrospect, Dave Fink in the studio with us, as you can analyze the game with us. Dave, you're sitting back here in the luxury of the studio as we watch your match against Tyler Hamel. You guys have a small history. You played each other at the Canadian Nationals of 2006 in the semifinal. Was it 2006 or 2007?
2007 Canadian National quarterfinals.
And what did you learn from playing Tyler Hamel during that quarterfinal match at the Canadian Nationals?
Tyler wasn't quite as focused or as sharp in that match as certainly he was 2 weeks prior to this match, where he beat me in the finals of the WAC 11-9, the tiebreaker.
And that win that he got against you at the Washington Athletic Club, a sister club to this one here in Detroit, was as a qualifier for a big pro stop in Seattle. So you guys got to play each other there. You played in Canada. You won the Canadian quarterfinal match, but then lost the finals match against Tyler in a somewhat close tiebreaker.
11-9, you can't get much closer.
And now we're looking back at your match here with you in the studio as we analyze a little bit of his game and your game, and a chance at going to the finals for $1,000. Now we know that you didn't win. That's obvious. You know, if you have the other CDs or the DVDs that we've put together for you, you know that Marcos ends up playing Tyler Hamel. We won't tell you what happened in that.
I was hoping that the outcome of this match might be different.
As you watch it back in the studio?
There was an easy miss by me right there.
Tyler Hamel wearing the First Star Sporting Apparel sponsored shirt. First Star now sponsoring top handball players in the world at www.firststar.ca if you want to go on the internet.
It's a nice retrieve there from Tyler.
Now, is this the first time you've been able to watch your match against Tyler?
Yes. Very one-dimensional thus far for me. I can see why I got off to a deficit here. Basically tried to shoot every single shot. You see that right there. That's just a low percentage play.
Now, this is one of the first matches of the day in Detroit, you playing up against Tyler Hamel. Is it tough to come right out of the gate against a top-tier type handball player just right out, or do you feel like you do your best damage in the earlier rounds?
I feel like I have an advantage. In the beginning of a lot of games, I come in really ready to play. I spend a lot of time stretching and warming up, and I feel like I want to use that to my advantage. A lot of guys like to come out and sort of feel out the match. I feel like I can build a lead at that point.
An inspiring handball player that is getting ready to play in a handball tournament. What kind of advice can you give them when it comes to the pre-game preparation?
I'd like to see somebody give themselves at least 45 minutes before a match to really not only mentally focus, but get themselves ready to play, stretching, visualizing, getting in that court, and basically going through all your shots. You know, I see a lot of people just go in the court and throw the ball a few times and hit a bunch of kill shots with both hands, and they're ready to start. I mean, I'd like to see everybody go through all their shots. Also getting themselves in the right frame of mind really to compete.
So it's important for the player that is going into a tournament or even in practice to go in and truly stretch up, but not just stretch your body, but also your mind as well.
It's a beautiful shot there from Tyler.
I don't think a lot of people realize how emotional it can get when you're playing in a tournament, and that what kind of exercises do you do for your brain emotionally? I mean, it's a little difficult. I've seen guys like Paul Brady put his iPod on and listen to some rock music to try to get his blood flowing and maybe more, some of the brain stem cells working correctly. Do you do anything like that? Does music motivate you?
I do like to put music on. A lot of times, you're in the locker room warming up your hands, and handball players will come up to you and just want to have a conversation about, how Pittsburgh is, or a buddy of theirs that that you also know, and you want to tell them, look, I got a pro handball match here coming up. I'm trying to focus. Obviously, you don't want to be rude, but that's another good reason for having your headphones on. People aren't going to talk to you and disrupt your concentration.
Now you're looking back at the referee there.
I actually think I could have had that ball.
The 5 serves 1 is the score. Sounds like John Bike is your referee here.
Hard to compare to any other top handball player, but I'm already thinking that this game is over. Not the most positive thinker out there on the court. Down only 6-1.
I stand corrected. It's Ricardo Diaz that's in the referee's box up there, refereeing your match.
Got a gift there from Tyler.
Well, that was a strange return. That's sort of what you did to Ricardo Diaz during your match against him. If you find success on a serve, is it the first thing in your head that I'm just going to keep going there to that serve until they make a mistake, or not make a mistake, but until they, figure it out? Or if you have success against a serve like that, like I've seen you do where you get 6 or 7 in a row, and if the opponent that you're playing scores a point, do you say, that's it, I don't do it anymore, or do you still go there one more time to see?
That's interesting. It would probably take more than just one point if you've won 6 or 7 in a row. Sometimes you get a feel that your opponent's really locked in on that serve. A serve that may work in the beginning.
I bring it up because as we watch Dave Chapman play against Emmett Peixote, Dave, you found him a few times where he went to a lob serve and he wasn't giving up points, but he was giving up a lot of side out, so he decided to go to a cross-court Z-type serve and ended up getting 6 or 7 in a row. And the very first time that Emmett scored a point, he went back to the lob serve again. Everybody has a different mentality on that.
There's also another thought that if you've got a serve that's working, you want to save that for maybe later in the match, not let your opponent catch on to it. I have to admit, at this point, only 3 serving 7. I'm already tired out here in this game.
How quick Tyler gets back up. Look at those great gets from Tyler Hamel, 36-year-old.
Not only a great get, but forced me to go to the ceiling.
That was one of the best rallies of the whole tournament. You can tell that the crowd here who stuck around watching all of these matches can appreciate it too. That's some good handball playing right there. I know you're sitting here watching your match, and it must be difficult for you, especially because I know you're so hard on yourself, but as a fan of handball, just blur your eyes a little bit, Dave. That was a good rally.
I wish I would have ended it about 6 shots before, but certainly exciting for the fans.
That's why it's so difficult to play against a guy like Tyler Hamel. He's a true pro handball player. I mean, he's been playing on the tour for about 15 years or so, off and on as of late, but more so on than off. He's one of the great methodical players of our time. He can throw the ball around, and then when you think you can get him up front with some of those kill shots, he's digging balls, but then he pops right back up to his feet like he's a superstar fast athlete, gets back into position again, and puts the pressure on you.
I joke with Tyler that there's no shot I can hit that he can't get to. He just reads seemingly every single one of my shots. It's one of the most frustrating players for me to play. It's a reason why he's basically my nemesis right now. He's beat me twice in a row and really becoming the primary rival of mine.
Yeah, he's pretty methodical on that court, very similar to Dave Chapman, very athletic. As of late, he's got himself into really good conditioning and physical shape. Now you play against a guy like that where you almost have to make the absolute perfect shot, and if your game's off just the slightest, or if he pushes you out of your game, he's going to win it. Very difficult to play a guy like that.
I think these guys do.
Ricardo Diaz is your referee. This is the first game.
Yeah, technically.
7-4 is the score. Tyler had a great serve going down the right this entire match. Tyler will pick up those kills up in the front court, Dave, and actually hit those deep 2-wall passes, forcing you to retreat back to that back wall. It's incredibly tiring, running front to back. You'll see most guys actually try and re-kill those balls up in the front court. Tyler's content to, there's a nice shot there by me. Hard to be too critical of that shot. Offhand kill from about 39 feet.
Well, the crowd in Detroit liked it too. Rightly so. I mean, they know that you're a left-hander, and it is hard to hit a ball like that with your offhand, but you guys are pro players, and it's a little easier for you since you've been playing for so long. I'd like to talk about that too.
This is a really good rally.
It was until you just said that. Now, you started playing handball, Dave Fink, at what age?
About 3 years old.
And then you picked up 3-wall, 1-wall, and 4-wall. As a junior player, you're one of the most decorated junior national champions that we've ever known of. You've won multiple junior titles.
Yeah,
Did that early success help you? Or, I mean, you left the game for a long time, but does it help you play against the top players? Like, you feel comfortable when you play someone like a Tyler Hamel because you've played top tournaments before?
I think the junior championships were a great building block and a foundation for my game, but I certainly don't rely on those junior matches while I'm in here 10 years later or 15 years later against a guy like Tyler Hamel, but it's all part of the process. Obviously, you have to be, you know, one of the top juniors before you can step into the open, and then one of the top open players until you can step in there with the pros. And it's just so many different levels of play. Nice pickup there from Tyler. Not sure what I was trying to do with that shot. It didn't work.
Tyler Hamel will do this with you all day long, won't he? If you were going to hit the ball back down the middle like that, he'd just continually keep doing it until he makes a mistake like that going for a kill shot. But ultimately, he's not a guy that makes many mistakes on the court. Is it tough to play a player that is so consistent, or is it easier to pick those guys apart because you know they're not going to go for an offensive shot? Nice little dig there from Tyler.
I think tougher to play against a guy that's really not going to make any mistakes, particularly when he's digging all of your best shots.
But you've got a guy like Vincent Munoz or Armando Ortiz that go for every kill shot opportunity they possibly can, and then you got the polar opposite of that with Tyler Hamel, who stays so, you know, above the board. Very rarely makes a hand error.
I don't like playing against guys that are killing everything or getting all my shots. So
can you find a happy medium in there somewhere?
I can find the guy that misses everything and that's slow. That's what I like.
Inconsistent.
Right. Tyler seems to not exert any energy on his swings. Very efficient swings. Kind of a short swing, almost a modified Irish whip type of swing with his right hand. See what kind of second serve Tyler uses here.
Don't remember.
If you just pop this CD in halfway, we're doing a retro look back at this match. It's a WPH contender semifinal match and a chance potentially at $1,000 in cash. Dave Fink versus Tyler Hamel. We have Dave Fink in the studio just looking back at this one, analyzing the game that took place in Detroit February 2nd, 2008, right before the Super Bowl. So it's Saturday before the Super Bowl, in fact. Detroit Athletic Club.
Great serve there from Tyler. Actually, it seems like my left-hand kill has really been the difference in this match. I haven't been able to execute it nearly as well as I'd like thus far. There you see it leaving another one up.
Some tremendous digs from Tyler in the front court. Makes it so hard for you to get him out of that front court and into the back court when he stays up there and gets those balls back. One of the things that Tyler does that a lot of other players don't do is when he digs the ball up front, he actually puts the ball into a defensive position for you on the next shot. It's almost like he's using his brain on a shot where it seems like he's just trying to get it back to the front wall.
Down.
It seems like I've picked up my intensity quite a bit here. 5 straight points.
It's 10-12 here.
As you know, Dave, it takes a lot more effort and stamina to come back in a game when you're playing from a 12-5 deficit, trying to even up the score than it would, say, playing in a tie game or in a closer game. Tyler's not too happy with that. Miss. Here I am going to this power serve.
As you sit back and analyze this match, you see a shot like that where you see it's actually a point, but you also see that it could have been low. It wasn't exactly where you're aiming on the front wall. It could have been a little bit lower. Is that something where you have to go back to the drawing board and say, I need to change something here?
I was happy with that shot, even though it was about 6 inches high, because I knew I had him pinned against that left wall. It was the first one I wasn't too happy with. I can tell you that I'm extremely winded right now. I know we're only at 10-12 in the first game, but...
Are you talking about in the production studio here or in the actual match as you remember back?
I'm talking about both, but particularly particularly in the match. You can see me breathing heavy there. There's something about Tyler's game that just breaks me down physically, completely.
It's a rare shot of... But you see two different U's here. If you watch the Ricardo Diaz match first and then watch this one, you see two different styles of play at times. I mean, you see that you're a little bit more aggressive during Ricardo Diaz match than you are with this one.
I think my opponent has a lot to do with that. Ricardo gave me a lot more opportunities than Tyler. That's a terrible miss. You know, that's the kind of miss that really destroys your momentum. I've come back all the way to 10-12, and to hit a ball off the bottom of my hand like that is extremely discouraging.
Is it a lack of focus when you hit a ball that comes off the bottom of your hand like that, or?
It looked to me like I didn't really get my feet set behind that ball, and I hit that ball off balance. Tried to do a little bit too much with it. As you know, there's a lot of times that ball takes a bounce that you're not really expecting, and those are the times you got to play it a little bit safer. It didn't look to me like I adjusted that. That was a simple kill into that right corner that I didn't execute.
Tyler Hamel has complete demand of all of the corners, all of the wraparounds. You dive for a ball, he dives for a ball, he gets back into position, wraps it around, gets you into back court, and then he kills it up in front of you. Very difficult to play a guy that is so methodical and cool-headed in there. He's actually forcing you to play like him, taking away some of your offense.
It's a nice serve there from Tyler. Certainly the last thing you want to do, Dave, is give away a point on a return of serve at 12-10 when you're playing to 15.
As we're here in the studio looking back at this match, I see that you've got your game face on here in the broadcast studio. It's kind of tough to shake that, isn't it? You're watching
like
yourself here.
I might have to change my gloves here in the production studio. I'm sweating, reliving this match.
We thought that there was a lot of nice rallies in that Marcos Chavez-Tyler Hamel match, but after watching this one, I see a whole bunch of different series of 15-shot rallies.
Looks like we're both pretty winded after that rally.
Playing a guy like Tyler Hamel can actually put you into shape, no? I mean, his style of play would make you a better player, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
I could see why Alan Garner and Tyler Hamel both have increased their games. You know, Tyler as of late, because he is making it a purpose of his, for himself to actually go play Alan Garner, and then Alan Garner at a young age, looking up to Tyler Hamel and playing him. You could only just get better playing a guy like Tyler, because he's going to keep the ball going, going to obviously put you into shape.
Those two actually have an extremely good friendly rivalry. They go back and forth quite a bit playing in those Southwest tournaments, the regionals in the States and the George Lee Opens. I mean, they're pretty much, you'd have to say, about even. Alan Garner ranked a little bit higher than Tyler right now, but it's an excellent matchup. As I'm trying to catch my breath here in this timeout.
You somehow have a feeling that if you stare at this a little bit longer, you know that the outcome could possibly change, and you could actually win and defeat Tyler.
Almost like watching Rocky 3 for the 30th time. Maybe Rocky will beat Clubber there in the first one, and Mickey won't die.
It's a contender semifinal from WePlayHandball.com. Tyler Hamel versus Dave Fink. Dave actually in the studio in retrospect, looking back. Kind of like we said earlier, it's sort of like you're inside the actor's studio here, getting inside your head, trying to analyze what you were thinking at the time this all took place.
Kind of like Brad Pitt talking about Fight Club, but without the good looks or the charisma. Or the fans.
Or the wife.
But other than that,
it's all pretty much the same.
That's a shot that I used to think was one of the best parts of my game. That diving re-kill into the right corner hasn't been there for me, though, in the last few tournaments.
That was a nice get right there from Tyler. He almost got another one to the front corner. Do you rank Tyler Hamel and his return gets in the top 10? Do you say that this guy right here is just a guy that's just hard to get the ball past?
I think we see all the top players are great retrievers, but I think what separates Tyler is that not only does he retrieve them, but does something with them. You'll see a lot of guys pick the balls up and give you an easier setup. He's picking them up and either re-killing them or pushing you back. And that's what makes it so tough playing against Tyler. I think it's one of the great assets that all the top players have that makes them top players is their speed and anticipation. And then really what separates those top players from the other top players is what they can do with the ball once they do retrieve it. We'll see Dave Chapman, when he goes down to retrieve those balls, he's ending the rallies.
I've heard a couple different philosophies on that. I've heard players say, if I'm going to go down to the floor, I'm going to put the ball away because I'm looking right at it. And I've heard others say, I'm going to throw that ball back up so I can get back toward the middle of the court and get myself into position again for the next shot. It all depends on the philosophy, I guess. You got a guy like Danny Bell, who if he's going to hit the floor, is going to try to put the ball away on the shot.
Dave Chapman re-kills that ball right in front of himself so that if it's not completely down, it's going to be a hinder. That was an unfortunate break for me. I stepped in and took that Z-serve out of the air and killed it. Unfortunately, just grazed Tyler's shirt there. Played it over.
Oh.
There it is. That actually ends the first game. Tyler scores 15 and
10.
You had 10 points there.
Actually, trailed 6-1 there in the beginning of that first game. That proved to be the difference in the match. Here we are in the beginning of the second game. Interesting, Dave. I lost that first game 15-10, but I really felt like I was outplaying Tyler. Whether that's true or not, I'm not really sure, but that was my feeling on that first game. I really came out in the second game looking to be a little bit more precise. I felt like I was had the ability to turn this match around. That's what I didn't do there in the first game, was use that pass shot down the right wall. Tyler was reading my kills straight down the left, and that's why we saw him picking up nearly every shot I hit.
You're playing to 15 points here. Taking a quick look back at some of the matches that took place from February 2nd of 2008 in Detroit at the Detroit Athletic Club. We have Dave Fink in the studio with us, which is kind of a godsend. We kind of get for one of the very first times, look into the pro player's mind just a bit as we look back retro to see what went on inside his head. Playing one of the top players, Tyler Hamel.
Now these are pretty easy setups, Dave, but what we've seen is I was on the ground twice early in this point. I don't really have my legs under me right now you can see that right there. Got away with a kill there that was about 8 inches high. I think Tyler's a little bit winded there as well.
You hear Tyler actually say no legs right there. Interesting, because wouldn't that feed into the style of being able to shoot from the hip like you do, to not have to bend down on certain shots? Or do you still have to have the legs no matter what?
I know I need my legs, the biggest part of my game.
Now we're going to call you an aging veteran because you're now 30 years old.
That sounds bad.
It does, doesn't it? Does it seem a little harder now at the age of 30, or have you learned new techniques in workouts?
I was actually pointing to Dave Chapman there. I hit that straight arm right into the left corner. I actually feel quite a bit stronger now than I ever did playing on the tour about 10 years ago. I feel stronger and faster and quite a bit more fit.
Baby.
It's a beautiful shot you took right there.
Finally starting to get into my groove here. Starting to establish my game. Looks to me like losing that first game actually relaxed me a little bit more, freed up my swings, and so that's my favorite shot when I'm executing it.
How soon should Tyler Hamel take a timeout here?
Well, according to the Dave Chapman philosophy, it'd be after 3 points in a row, but not a good shot there for me. Left that ball up very high into that left corner. There's the difference right there, Dave. I'm trying to run that ball straight down the left wall, and it catches that left side wall and sits up. Tyler ends the point just an inch or two, and I earn the side out. Not a good serve there from Tyler.
Sounded like it broke the ball on that shot. Tyler actually showing a little bit of power.
Actually, tomahawk fisted that one. That's the Marco Chavez hammer right there. Caught me going the wrong direction. Tyler actually looks like Robin from Batman and Robin with those glasses, almost like a mask. That's the shot I need to eliminate right there. That falling backwards fadeaway left-hand kill with Tyler right in front of me, not a good shot. That shot may work against you, Dave, but it's not going to work against the top pros in the world.
Very rarely do we agree, but I do agree with you on that.
That's actually a weakness of mine from playing, you know, a lot weaker players at home. I can get away with a lot of bad habits that I can't get away with playing against these pro players. As you know, Dave, playing at home, you can start to feel invincible playing against older players and B players, and you get in here against these top players trying to execute the same shots, and it's not there. That's what I was talking about right there, Dave, with the footwork. Got myself set up behind that shot and really pushed my whole body into that shot.
That was after the kangaroo.
That seemed like a good serve and a good setup and good execution there.
Very happy with that point. 2 nice shots in a row.
So hard to play against Tyler Hamel, even if you have a good Z serve like that, because he's the one that's so methodical with his style of return that he very rarely makes any type of mistakes to set you up. He did on that previous serve, though. Let's see what he does here. He's able to send you back, and that puts you in a terrible position. As we watch,
I should never miss.
As we watch with another video where you're helping us analyze it, the one against Ricardo Diaz. Ricardo was unable to do what Tyler Hamel's able to do there with that return. And that's not a knock against Ricardo Diaz. It's just that if you're not seeing that serve, even as a pro player, you have to go back in to the drawing board, try to figure it out. I mean, how many times do you see a lefty hit you a Z serve? It could be once every 10 years. That's a mishit from Tyler, followed by another mishit. You can tell that his legs are a little bit weary here. The score is 9-3. You lost the first one, 15-10.
Looks like I've got this game pretty well in hand right now. Outplaying Tyler at this point, leading 9-3. I think we're about to embark upon a Dave Fink meltdown here. Not. Here I go.
And who's sitting in that corner? Is that Dave Chapman or an Emmett Bichot, or are you just talking to the corner? Nobody's there. You're just talking to the wall.
That's happened before too, but here I go losing my mind. Actually yelling at one of the great gentlemen and great ambassadors of our sport, Keith Thody, who's out there taking pictures for this event, and I'm telling him to move because I am distracted by his camera into that back wall glass.
Had you looked back, were you really distracted, or?
As I look back, it wasn't something that was distracting, but I created the distraction in my mind. So I was distracted, but it was my fault, not his. He had every right to be there with the camera. Actually, had been there the entire match.
Nice shot from Tyler Hamel.
I'm still going there.
I think it's reflecting off of your head.
And you can see that can be the difference in this match, and I believe it was. I was up 9-3 and ended up losing 5 or 6 straight points with that on my mind.
So if this is a learning video, if we're trying to
instructional.
If this is an instructional video,
what not to do?
What kind of advice do you give, maybe even to yourself here or the person viewing? I mean, I struggle with the same thing, and we've all played in. I don't know what it is, but I've had this. Been in the server's box before where I was up big, and all of a sudden I saw this little piece of sweat on the palm of my glove, and it's in my head to change the glove, or at least request it. But we go along with the play, and you immediately blame it on the fact that you're not focused. You're thinking about your glove. Then you say to yourself, "Well, if I change my gloves, then you get all of a sudden you start analyzing what's going to take place, and you walk yourself out of a big lead." What is it that you have to do to break through that?
I think certainly calling a timeout is helpful. Trying to regroup mentally and trying to focus just on the next point, which sounds so easy in the production studio, as we know, Dave. But when you're in the heat of the battle, the tendency is not only to become stubborn, but also to try and play your way through that, even though that it's certainly not possible. Looking back, watching this right now, it seems so ridiculous that I'm upset with Keith Thode taking pictures, but at the time it cost me 5 or 6 points in a row.
This could be a match that could be worth $15,000 in cash, and the same scenario would take place. There's TGO, the great one, Dave Chapman, sitting next to the player that he's going to play, Amit Pashot, and then Watches, Dave's trainer, sitting to the left of Dave Chapman. Alan Garner even to the further left of Watches there. This game is very mental, as we know, and the only reason why we're bringing up maybe your little meltdown that you're having in the court right now is because we want people to know that are tuning in that this game is very mental. It's not just you that goes through these struggles, it's the pro players as well. Trust me, Tyler Hamel's going through the very same thing right now. He's having a meltdown inside.
There's that retrieve we're talking about from Tyler Hamel. He picks that kill shot up and feathers it back into the deep court. Tyler's starting to really move me around here.
It's a nice shot from Tyler right there.
You think if Tyler is a methodical percentage player and you don't expect him to take that ball out of the air and roll it out flat. That's just frustration there for me.
It's too late to call it now, folks. Too late.
Now I believe you're going to come out and talk to Ricardo.
That actually helped to refocus me. That little argument there.
So sometimes the arguments actually help?
I know they help me. I know a lot of people give me a lot of advice that I need to stay a lot more calm, which obviously is true, but a lot of times those arguments with the referee do fire me up a little bit, help me to play a little bit better.
We've had people come up to us and say that when you're arguing, it actually hurts your game, but that's because we've played the game a long time ourselves, and we know that when we argue, it ends up hurting our game. But for you, when you seem to argue with either a call, the referee, your partner, even with yourself, it seems to motivate you to play better. And I try to contend to people that that's something you need to do in order to play better. Is that a true statement, or is it?
I'd say that's true about 10% of the time. 90% of the time, those arguments work against me. lost a number of matches by losing my cool. Certainly playing considerably better right now after Tyler tied the score at 9 than I was leading 9-3. Raced to 3 straight points there, 12-9.
Looks like you have pretty good command of this game as well, especially with shots like that. 13-9 now. Looks like we just need 2 more points, and this one is going into a tiebreaker. Here's 13-9 as the score. Dave Fink is in the studio looking back at his match, February 2nd of 2008.
That's one of those frustrating shots right there, Dave, where I tried to play it safe, tried to hit a 2-wall pass with my right hand. When I had that fly kill, should have hit it straight down the right, and it ended up costing me the side out. As you know, Dave, it's the most frustrating. Here's the worst shot I've ever hit. Look at that. All I had to do was hit the front wall and hit the ball in the ground from 2 feet from the front wall. I was so disgusted with myself, I couldn't even say anything. Tyler made a huge mistake there, hitting that ball right back to me. Didn't make him pay.
He was trying to trick you. Tyler was trying to trick you. You have a little trickery shot there with that little underhand dump, and he actually fed right into you, and all you had to do is just hit the ball back to the front wall.
That ball got closer to the front wall than he expected. He was unable to take a swing at it. Starting to play sloppy here now. Starting to rush all my shots. That was lucky. The ups and downs of a handball match, Dave, are
both of you guys are playing really upright here. Is that because of maybe a loss of stamina at this point? No, I can see that both of you aren't really bending down. You're playing very upright, stuck right toward the middle and doing all arm shots. That one was in favor of Tyler, who gets the side out and then calls a timeout.
I can't speak for Tyler, but I can tell you that I was exhausted at this point in the match right here.
Now, what do you have to think about this? You have no matter what, win or lose, you have another match coming up in about 4 hours from now. And
it's funny you mentioned that, Dave, because I was thinking about that exact thing right there. As we know, it's a winner-take-all situation, as I hand the great one my sweaty towel.
I think if they put on a few more pounds, they could hit harder. Maybe
Actually, pretty nice of Dave Chapman to show up there at 10 in the morning. His match wasn't until 3 o'clock that afternoon he showed up to watch this match.
We've never worked together before.
it's a Detroit Athletic Club big showdown that features some really top handball players. We're lucky to have one of those. Number 11 ranked WPH Pro Dave Fink is in the studio with us watching his match against Tyler Hamel.
Him sitting there.
Inside the actor's studio.
Like you said, the glare off his head.
Is what this kind of feels like. We're able to ask you some questions, not just about your specific match, but also some things that, or advice, some pointers, some tips that could give
Terrible shot.
some newbies that are watching this. Just kind of interesting in the style of game that you play. Let's listen to this.
What's he travel? What's the call? He's asking for a screen.
When you hit the ball, Dave, we notice that you lift your hands up in the air, and it's more of just something that you do. Are you lifting it because you're upset with yourself because you didn't make the perfect shot, or is that just something that you do in tennis or some other sport?
No, that is a reaction to a shot that I've felt I haven't executed properly.
Well, we see you do it a lot. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That's not a good thing. Fortunate to catch that crack there. It's a shot that I've struggled with right there.
Now, this is the first time you've seen this since the actual event. There's you taking a nice left-handed shot into that corner, taking a quick timeout after that.
This is turning into an NBA game here, Dave. We've got a timeout after about every other point. what I'm trying to do here is regroup, catch my breath, and get my legs under me to make a push to get these last 2 points here.
It's a very smart timeout. There's been times that you and I have played in tournaments before where you take a timeout and you come back in there, feel like it's your first match of the day. You're good for about 3 or 4 more points, and then you hit the wall again. Right now, all you need is about 1 or 2 more points, and you've forced a timeout or a tiebreaker and an extended 5-minute timeout, which is just smart play. Now, you've been a proponent against taking timeouts in the past, but now that you're competing back at the top pro level again, you're having to play a smarter style of game.
Certainly need to use every advantage you can get, and timeouts are there for you, not only to break the momentum of your opponent, but also to maybe catch your breath and regroup.
You're watching a World of Pro Handball production of the Detroit Athletic Club Showdown. This is a contender semifinal match and a chance potentially at $1,000 eventually. Dave Fink in the studio analyzing his own game against Tyler Hamel.
Not a smart shot.
You're not happy about that right there.
Not only was that poor execution, but that was poor decision making. I tried to take a shot up at my shoulder and kill it in the left corner from about 39 feet.
Tyler did something kind of unique there. I'm not sure if it's something that you do, but he actually looked at a spot on the floor that he wanted to hit the ball to and visualized the serve. He looked at the spot on the floor and hit it to the front wall and tried to go for what maybe was a crack serve. Do you ever do stuff like that for added focus?
Certainly there are times when I'm serving a power serve, I'm thinking about exactly where I want that ball to land beyond the short line.
Get the crack on that one.
Easy put away, I didn't finish it.
This is another 15-shot rally.
Hard to be too critical of yourself sitting here in the production studio when you've got your legs under you, but when you're in there and you're breathing heavy and your heart rate's up around 180 beats per minute, it's a different story.
It was a nice dig from Tyler.
I could see my legs wobbling right there.
Oh, and you go for the shot and you get it.
I just took a standing 8 count.
You know you have a little bit of time given to you from the referee, about 10 seconds.
This is a veteran move right here, as you'll see. What you do, Dave, is you use those 10 seconds before your serve, then you call your timeout. It becomes about a minute and 15-second timeout instead of a minute timeout.
But then the veteran move when you turned around and asked Tyler Hamel if he was going to take a timeout, and he said no, so you took yours.
I was hoping he'd take one, and then right after his, I could take one.
You got a little chuckle from TGO there, who knows all about the type of antics that you're talking about. Commenting on, I'm assuming, the way that you called that timeout, and Dave picks up everything.
Actually, we were talking about his trainer in St. Louis, who you know, Sherry, who told me that I'm not in shape at all, and I was reminding Dave of that and agreeing with her at that point because I couldn't breathe. So he's getting a laugh out of that, knowing that he was right.
It's the World of Pro Handball Contender semifinal match. This was filmed February 2nd, 2008, with Jeff Kastner Productions and the WPH, as we're catching your match against Tyler Hamel. In retrospect, we see the crowd all have smiles on their faces. There must have been a funny little transaction between you and Dave Chapman, your friend. It's interesting to see you guys chattering like that and such an important match here right at the point where you could actually win and go into a tiebreaker.
Now here's one of the most painful shots I've ever hit. Tyler hits a 3-wall return right here. Here's my favorite shot right here, Dave, for the game. Oof, look at how close that was. When that hit my hand, I felt like that ball was going to roll out, force the tiebreaker. Now it's Tyler serving at 12-14.
There you have Tyler again, and you capitalize on it. So, like you said, I'm actually expecting there's going to be a different outcome here. You look like you're total command, going for the Z serve again. Oh, good. That was actually a very good Z serve.
Another routine setup there to force the tiebreaker. I was unable to put that ball down. Not only not put it down, but hit that ball about a foot high right to Tyler's right hand. I didn't even remember that shot.
Well, you thought the one previously to that was
Right.
the difference maker, but that was actually another.
It was a much easier shot. This is something that I've struggled with quite a bit.
I've seen people dislocate their shoulders doing that, and you brought it up earlier.
It wasn't a very graceful dive, did it?
It reminded me of Courtney Pachot, that dive right
Looked
there.
like a wet seal flopping around on the ground.
But you were talking about the floors here in Detroit. They are they're shaved. They take the lacquer off of them. So if you go down, it's like going on sandpaper. You probably left this tournament with about 16 strawberries all over your legs.
It wasn't pretty.
Now we're at 14-14, I believe.
That's right. 14-14. Here's a shot here, if I remember correctly. Tyler serves a Z serve. I step in and take it out of the air. Let's see here. Nope.
Tyler pushing you back.
It's a nice shot there with my right.
There it is. That ends it.